Morning, guys. Morning, everyone. A couple of minutes, so we'll start at 5:30 as normal. Okay, good morning, guys. 5:30. Hope you had a good human rights day yesterday. Bit of a break for everyone. Easter around the corner, a couple of weeks' time as well. So, yeah. Okay, anyway, coming back to this, I have to say, I don't know about you guys, I'm finding the market very good. Remember, we've got the FOMC meeting coming out later on today. So I'm very, very risk averse at the moment, to be honest. The CPI came out in the UK, and year on year is over 10%. If we talk a first world economy here, 10% is hectic. I mean, we're not 10%. You get the idea. So what happened to the dollar? The pound screams over the 15 minutes, shot up. Okay, why is that? Expecting you have to do something about interest rates to bring down inflation. That's like the knee-jerk reaction. But are they going to do it after shooting up there? Comes off a bit. Now it doesn't know where it's going. Very difficult. We got slapped badly with the down on the NAS. I still think it's going to come off, but we got slapped badly with it. NAS in the end went shooting up there, right back up there, got hit. Yeah, so just within my stop at 12.8, the down fortunately got knocked out. I had a discussion with the office this morning before this meeting here, and we're going to probably a bit circumspect with trade ideas today, maybe tomorrow. It's anything we discuss in the trading room because a bit more experienced, a bit more knowledgeable. They will know the risks and not the risks involved, but understanding all the obstacles and emotions, etc., that go with that trade, and they're more aware of it. When you send it out, not everyone has that, and they sort of say, "Why are you sending out a signal? It's not working." Well, it's obviously we don't do that on purpose, but market conditions, market emotions, market volatility, market lack of direction is really difficult. And I'm saying I've had quite a bad last 2-3 weeks with my signals. To be honest, I haven't had as bad a negative feedback as I would have expected. Hasn't exactly been positive, but it hasn't been quite vitriolic, shall we say. But I can honestly say, you see me in here discuss together. A lot of it at the moment is not even a toss of the coin, because if red comes up, like on the roulette table, and halfway through it turns to black. Halfway through it goes back to red again. So it's just very, very, very. I'm not comfortable a lot of the time. And that's why I'm a bit circumspect. It doesn't go up or down. I've been doing this for a while. I can say a lot of it's guesswork. We had the CAD CHF. Was that the CAD CHF? We got stopped out in the end around about this level here. And look, and then it was yesterday, it's going to come right back down here. So go figure. Just after being stopped out, GBP CHF came right in the end. I modified my stop, and then if you guys did the same, and I got stopped out. I made a reasonable profit. Not bad, actually, to be honest. But look at, going up like that, flirting with the stop loss, and then came flying down again. And now it's decided to pop right up again. Very, very, very rare at the moment. I know you bought into this to trade, you bought into this to make money, but I think rather get a zero return than a minus return. I'm sorry to start on a very negative note, but I'm just saying at the moment, a lot of frustrations coming in. So yeah, I think sometimes trading is a little bit my sort of, what you call it, therapy session, because I often get some positive feedback, etc., from you guys, cheers me up a bit. But that, like Anne-Marie said, no, there is not blame you. As long as you understand that I really want it to come right, not me, I mean, talking about you guys, I want it to come right. I get a kick when the trading signal comes in, and I get a lot of nice feedback, but it's frustrating when it doesn't. You can't start laying blame all around the place. I mean, you've got to take responsibility. But I can honestly say mitigation, I think this emotion running around and not a lot of sense. Let's go back to gold. There's a good example of gold. I'm looking at your dollar index. It's fairly weak at the moment, should be good for gold. I'm looking at, just let me guys, excuse me a second. I'm looking at the, what should we call it, the US 10-year note. And it's not that strong. It's not that weak, to be honest, but it's not about 4% it was recently. It's only about 3.5, 3.6, something like that. And yet we have a move $100 up, fear factor, we get that. And then I expect a bit of a pullback. I would never, ever guess we have a $75 pullback since, what's this now, Wednesday? Since Monday. I thought maybe get 20, 30, maybe 40. Make a bit of profit taking pullback. With calming fears, maybe overreaction, take profit, you get the idea. Few stop losses, modified trigger. But I would never have thought it's going to come back to there. I wouldn't have, if you'd ask my opinion, I'd still say I'm fairly bullish on gold at the moment. A lot of fear factor, we discussed that ad nauseum in the trading room here. And I said, probably it's not 60. You might, in a push, come back to 50, but have a 60 maybe in case you miss it. Stop maybe at 45 or something. And hindsight, I know it now, but I'm just telling you, yesterday I would not have guessed this pullback. I wouldn't have guessed it. I mean,
Roger and everyone.
Good morning.
Yes. Let's remember that this is a speculative market, so things can go either way. I don't think it would be fair for us to beat ourselves up for something that is beyond our control. And then, out of observation, for the past few weeks, it seems like, from what I've seen, like when we have analyzed something and technically it seems to be, well, when we analyze it, it seems to be going our way. Few minutes later or so, even an hour later, it swings back around. So maybe, I don't know, if we are feeling all Rambo-ish, we could consider maybe going opposite of what we have analyzed.
Yeah. I like it. I honestly, they call it contrarian. Actually, it's not such a daft suggestion. That a lot of people trade on contrarian. If a lot of people say buy it, they just bloody will go and sell it. And so we're saying it in humor, but it's not such a crazy thing to say, to be honest. Yeah. But as I say, I don't think that'll work. I did a trade, that must have been a couple of years ago when it was running around a bit. And I took a short and a long, and it went up, came back, stopped me. I didn't modify anything, put a stop loss in. I'll be honest, it's on the demo account just to try out it, just trying something out for fun, just having a look. It was actually on Anglo Gold Ashanti, it was a JSC share when we had them. And I put a buy in with a stop loss TP and a sell in stop loss TP in a normal way. And it went up a bit, then stopped me out. Then it went down a bit and then bounced up and stopped me out. So if I hadn't modified or hadn't done anything, just left those two trades, one long, one short, they both didn't come in. I'd feel a little bit like this at the moment. So I think you chuck the dice, and then if it goes right, you get out as long as you cut costs are covered. Because, as I say, somebody was saying you're getting it 1930 as a buy. In normal times, I would have said get in right now, never mind 1930. 1930, by the way, none at all. I'm just saying at the moment, I would, well, not at the moment, what I'm saying is, in normal trading over several years, this is an opportunity to buy. Have we got problems out there? Clearly, unless you've been hiding under the ground somewhere, clearly we have. That's the fear factor thing. The indicators of the DXY and the yields indicate after a pull by that a big bounce. That to me is a very high probability buy trade. So why not jumping up and down? Because it's honestly, to me at the moment, it's like talking to someone on drugs. You're not getting any sense out of them, and it's just so irrational. You might say, like Kearney says, go the opposite way. Let's sell the bloody thing, and then it suddenly shoots up or buy it, and it suddenly shoots down again. I mean, it's nothing sounds irrational. So it's very, very frustrating on that basis. It's pure, in my opinion, emotion, fear, jumping in and jumping out, seems to be moving the moment. And I can definitely see, to be honest, guys, the institutions going the same way. I mean, I don't watch Bloomberg 24/7, to be honest. Below it doesn't apply to us, but I do get sometimes you get the odd one coming in. Who's hedge funds? We're talking about serious guys here, top of the tree. $1 billion and more themselves. Never mind the hedge fund valuation. Saying, check your money and takes your chances. It's more than speculative at the moment. It's basically playing guesswork. We've got Joe Smith just coming in here now. He hasn't done the course. He doesn't anything. And I'm asked his opinion. Well, I hate to say it, my friend. It's probably as valuable that opinion as ours, because it might just by sheer industrial luck come out. And that's not the point behind it. It's the point to have some rational experience which you learn to get it on your side. And I can be honest with you at the moment. You might cheer me up. You might come out with a butte. I think, thank you, well done. Fantastic. Let's go for it. And to be honest, it's been like that the last week or two. I mean, some of my term are going, a couple of guys come out and stuff here. Those have been pretty damn good. So as I say, we discussed this morning the 8:30 strategy meeting, in-house one that is, and just said we probably won't be sending any out, not today, maybe tomorrow, something like that, because they're just like the reason I just mentioned. And I go back to that example you just had now, GBP USD. I was a bit reluctant to buy it. Some of the guys did, and it came off, and I thought maybe I was right on this one. Then the CPI comes out, it shoots back up again. So the buyers are now in profit, where before they were suffering, and I was right. You get the idea. CAD CHF, I mentioned that just now, where sell got stopped out and the thing flew down again. You know what I mean? And then so I didn't know at the time, a 10 pip wider stop would probably still be in the profit. GBP CHF came to the party at the end, but we all suffered a bit in the meantime. I think some guys said, "Hell with this," and he was up here somewhere. I can't have this anymore. I'm out of here. But anyway, look how it came down yesterday. It came down 170 pips. What a pleasure for sure. But do I pat myself on the back or think I got lucky? I'm leaning towards the latter. You get the idea. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go further on that one, Ken. They say in the UK, you have 4 seasons of weather in one day. It's a bit like that here at the moment. Well, very much so. Well, I say that is. Now, yeah, I agree. Well, to be honest, Karen, it's always been fiddle. Yeah, big money always fiddle. Big money and power, it's always going to be a fiddle. A lot of people say manipulate price. We certainly don't. But our price manipulated, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, at big level, that's corruption. Or was it Lincoln? I forget who said it's, that was somebody else anyway, and said power corrupts, absolutely. And yeah. So he'd sort of sit there as ordinary people start blaming some of the guys over here. But I tell you what, you take any country in the world, anyone who's reasonably educated, say, at that level of corrupt. I mean, Washington, D.C. Is, you know, the swamp area. It's completely, look at the media corruption coming through. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But it's not us, my friend, it's out there. And there's no doubt about it. It's just sort of playing around with that. I mean, you have a problem, they don't bail you out, mate. But, a big guy gets a problem, too big to fail, the old cliche. They step in and then help them out. I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. I took out an insurance policy I'm paying for, like in Credit Suisse, for $250,000 US. So that's covered. And other guys got above that, it's not covered. Now it turns out, doesn't matter if you paid the insurance premium or went above that or not. They're all helped out because they're too frightened of the pullback. So again, the small guy gets shafted. It seemed to be the way of the world since the dawn of human history. Too small to count will shaft you. Too big will look after you. You get the best lawyers, the best everything. It's David Goliath might happen once, but it doesn't happen normally, I'm afraid. Normally Goliath nails David, I'm afraid to say. And it's a lot of it's frustration. Maybe I'm just whinging a bit, getting off my chest. Sorry about this. But it's frustration. Yeah. That's why I keep on about position. If you get a trade, make sure that position. I know it's frustrating at times when it comes off big time and you made 10 instead of 50, but rather that it catches you with your trousers down, actually speaking, you know. And yeah, and to be honest, I'm an emotional person. You probably gather that by now, anyone who knows me. And I always say you got to try and control them, but you are what you are. And you get analytical, you get drivers, you know, personality quadrants, that sort of thing. And yeah, and it is as effect. And effect, I don't know who you are, affects your confidence sometimes. You might say, no, it's not your fault, but somehow you think it is. Like when D lives, I know he is today. Is it your fault? Well, no, it's not. I know it's natural to blame yourself. Sometimes it is. Don't duck that. Let's not make excuses, to be fair. But there are times, hey, it is not your fault. Like the wife wandering off the window cleaner. Not your fault. AUD/USD. I think we got a trade out there the other day. Sorry. AUD/USD. Where is it? They always get the sense of humor back in it. Where is it? It's written down. Oh yeah, here we are. So the wrong one. Okay, 67.10 was the sell. Bloody hell. Hang on. Just give me a second. Oh, take a deep breath. It's actually doing okay. Well, okay, it's not losing, put it that way. It's actually last couple of puts in profit. What a pleasure. Right, okay. Well, we all got a trade out there. What's the date? You got on the 20th, only a couple of days ago. We got on 67.10. Now, the problem I have, this is Ria Betsui. If I got it approximately okay. If it doesn't, please take the mickey. My shoulders are wide, I can handle it. If I spend my life being fully unilingual, you can take the mickey. With pleasure. But anyway, Mr. R. Okay. Right. Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. Jerome Powell, I think you've all heard of him. He's the chairman of the US Federal Reserve, and this FOMC interest rate decision tonight. I will discuss that in a minute, but it's a stinker for him. He's well paid, but even so, I feel sorry for him. But he's got a stinker on his hands today, I tell you, tonight. Anything can happen to that dollar. Am I leading to a bit of a downside on that? Yes, I am. Do I think technically that's a sell? Absolutely, yes. Do I think it's a good idea to go in? Why I'm hesitant is because, again, this damn fundamental problem of coming up, which could happen anyways. Let's go back to GBP. Don't matter to GBP, anybody. We'll try this one, NZD. Let's go to 50 minutes and see it more clearly. Now, you know, that's bad. Have high inflation. So suddenly we get a very positive on the pound. Why is that? Fear of interest rates being increased strengthens it. But it could happen either way. They might have said, well, you know, it's this fundamental jumping around that makes it nervous. So go back to the USD. I totally agree with you. We've got to trade out for the moment. Why am I nervous? Because he has got a stinker on his hands. Well, Brent's doing okay. I'm going to be chasing it now, Charlie. But the Brent trade is actually doing pretty good, actually. To be fair. So what's it now? 74.25. We got it at 70.80, I think, 70.90 or whatever, right about that. So I trust anyone's in that modified the stop loss. So let's say 72.50. Coming up, things can happen. Maybe just modify again to 73. I'm very sorry if you get stopped out and it shoots up to 80 or something, you're not on board. But I think prudence is the way of the name of the game at the moment. It might be an idea just to modify $73 to protect some profit, because I just hope it continues up for your sake and for the trade's sake. But I don't want to suddenly something happen, some bloody daft thing, overreaction or whatever. Maybe I'm thinking over the top here with my paranoia, and then knock you out, and then that butte turns into not such a butte, if you get my point. So maybe doesn't that subject 73. But coming back AUD USD, do I think it's a short? Absolutely. Do I agree with everything you say there? I'm just worried about what happens later on today. Okay, I want to discuss that with you. Some of you might know this, but and it's nothing to be world-shatteringly brilliant, I'm about to say, but I'll mention it anyway. But before I do that, what the US dollar CAD? Some guys went on the long on that one. Before we go to the Swiss one, what was that? One US dollar CAD, 1.3666. Hey, not too bad. That was a technical one. We went purely technical as a buy, and it's actually not doing too bloody badly. That's what, 34 plus 7 is 41. It's 40 odd pips, just over 40 pips in profit at the moment. So it's not bad. We'll do that in a moment just to remind me if I miss it. Yeah, I want to discuss that with you guys. I'm going to get a moment because the trades come first. So that comes first, and in a moment we discuss that. But I personally, those who took that trade at the 3666 level, or maybe 2-3 pips above, not if they got in at 3690, then you can't modify. But I think you can actually modify the stock. In fact, I suggest strongly that you do. The last thing you want to do, and now 40 pip, suddenly somebody comes in with $1 and he comes screaming out of 1.36 or something stupid. So at least protect yourself. So if you got in that trade, US dollar CAD, this again was the 20th, because we only had a quiet morning yesterday. I suggest you modify to maybe a few pips above entry, just to cover yourself, and then at least you're protected, and then enjoy the ride if it comes right. And if it doesn't come right, we haven't got a financial smack involved. So that's not too bad. I did digress anyway. You go to the, you're in for a long, Marius. Well, good luck. And you should be short. Good luck. We're slightly in a profit. But if I tell you what, those are in the AUD USD at the moment in a profit, it's only about 10 pips. If we can get 25, well, even 20 pips in profit, and you're still up and around before 8 o'clock, and you're in a bit of a profit, I suggest you protect yourself, because anything could happen. And remember, it's not just to release the interest rates, the Q&A, so you could get some jumping around big time. Okay, so just protect yourself. Okay. If you're not going to be at 8, you've got to go out, or you're going to go to sleep, or you're cooking dinner, or whatever you're supposed to be doing. If you're a bit of a profit, protect yourself. Normally, I say 30, 40 pips. I think maybe to be careful, 20 pips. We had that about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We could have modified the GBP trade, I forget which one it was. And I said, oh, it's only 20 pips away, hang on. Some fundamental came out and smacked that trade. The guys, instead of breaking even, knocked out. So I think, and I mentioned, Anne-Marie probably remembers this, I mentioned if you are a few pips in profit, 5 or 6, you're wasting your time. At least you can reduce your risk by modifying. But if you're 20 or something like that, I think it might be worth it just to bring it to even Steven. Even if it knocks you out and then comes screaming in the right direction, just a protection. So just bear that in mind. If you're getting to profit, applies the same with you there, Marius, whether you're going long or short. Okay. Be careful of that damn dollar. Be careful of gold. Be careful of the indices. Be careful of the shares, because they'll all be affected. Bear that in mind. Okay. Swiss franc. Where are we now? Swiss franc. The Swiss franc's been weak. I've been saying that, but I've been wrong. It's overcooked. It's oversold. It's not that weak in the bigger scheme of things. It's got the biggest bank in the world, not the United States, not Europe. well, I know Switzerland's part of Europe, but not the Eurozone, is what I mean. It's just way, way bigger than any other bank. We're talking over 2.2 trillion US. Remember I said it's about 750,000 for every single human being in South Africa from the age of 1 day upwards. It's equivalent to that per person. You know, it's just, it really is, it's huge. And so, you know, it's still a financial area. And then when you get that size, they're pretty hedged and probably a bit of manipulation, like was it Kieran or somebody was saying there. So bottom line, I think the Swiss franc. No. So bearing that in mind, I would say I would leave this alone. Where's the 200? Is it up here somewhere? It's in the sell zone. I personally think I would be agreeing on selling it because I just think the Swiss franc is going to become back again a strong, stable currency. Having said that, again, I'm worried about the dollar because of 8 o'clock tonight. So this one I'm going to leave alone. The Japanese yen, I'm also worried on that because it's quite, they're not going to play around with yields or bonds anymore. So quite clearly, because they are suffering from such a large debt, they need to keep the interest rates low. That's been fairly stable. A lot of money's gone to the yen for that reason, no other reason. But it's getting a little bit, you know, a little bit overbought from that perspective. So the yen, I think it might start to idle to a bit of weakness. So for the US dollar yen, probably be looking at a buy on that stage. Technically speaking, I think that's going to break through to the upside. Again, I'm worried about 8 o'clock tonight. If it was for 8 o'clock tonight, I'm thinking the dollar is oversold, the Japanese is overbought. In other words, undervalue the dollar and overvalue the yen. I think it's impossible of upside. But the ramifications, what's happened fundamentally, and the emotional output that caused from it all, the fear in real money, we're not demo here, real money's on it. You know, people start running around like chickens with their heads off in fear, panic. That could make it jumping around anyway. It doesn't make sense. But on a rational basis, I see upside on this one. But I'd be very careful of entering it now. And I think you're not going to get a decent profit to modify by 8 o'clock because I'm not the only one thinking that way. So you can get low volumes, which means you're not going to get much price action to give you that 20, 30 pip buffer to modify to protect yourself anyway. And for those reasons I gave. Hope that sort of long-winded, what's the word, chit-chat there makes some sort of sense. Okay. So if you can come through, newer guys here, it's quite a tough time. You can come through this one when the sun starts to shine, you're nicely poised to make hay. It's quite poetic, all these mixing my metaphor there. Okay. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you for support, by the way. I mean, you know, two reasons why you're here, not for your sake, for my sake. Number one, to help me out with decent trades. Number two, some personal free therapy. Thanks for your support, Tommy. Okay. Anyway, moving along. Right, Powell. I don't know. There's some intelligent people running around this training room. So just try and put yourself in his place. He's been sticking with and understanding correctly, in my opinion, with the worry of inflation. Now he's got an added problem. It's been a mutual, so there's a bit of background there. I can always have mutual. He's now got a major added problem. Remember I mentioned, if you borrow money from me, Mr. Bank Roger, I don't mind lending it to you because I'm lending it to you at a higher interest rate than my savers. So Anna Marie is now getting 10%, but I'm lending it out to Ntombi there at 20%. That's my profit. So the money you put in, Anna Marie, the saver, is not sitting there in the bank vault. It's been lent out to Ntombi, 20%. The problem is Ntombi can afford 20%. Now we got problems now is because we've got the inflation problem. To bring inflation down, we have to increase. Now we're going to increase. I'm using ridiculously high figures, but round figures, get the point. Now it's been increased to 25%. Ntombi is a nice person, a very responsible person, but responsible and nice person can't afford to repay at 25%. So what happens is she starts to miss payments, default, panic, and all that sort of thing. The bank starts to get problems because Ntombi is not the only one in that situation. There's Pietro there, there's Marius there, who else is down there? You know, there's all sorts of people there. Alfred, and Brian, Schumann, everyone there. Now they've all got this and they're having the same problem. So we start getting runs on banks. So the only way to start halting those runs on banks, which cost money by the governments around the world to protect them, to save the financial system, they're going to come to great cost rescue packages. But those problems will be enhanced if they put the interest rate up again. So, right, now he needs to put it up, for argument's sake, 0.5%. Now he's thinking, deserves 0.5%, I've got to bring that inflation down, but the problem's going to have is 25. But then even 25%, we've got a problem. Maybe it should be 0%. 0%, the economy needs 0.5%. Worse, 27, at least 25 basis points, not 0. So he's got to do a juggling act. What's he going to do with that? Good luck. That's what he's paid for. Thank goodness it's not me, because that's where the problem is at the moment. That's why I'm scared. Most of the world is scared. What's he going to come up with? Because it's, tells I lose, heads you win. Tells I lose, heads you win. Scenarios in. Done by, what's that expression again? Damned if you do, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You get the point. What is he going to come up with? He might come up with something, I don't know. But you get the point. And that's why tonight is I in particular. I might at this point come up with a damn script, come up with something, and then suddenly nothing happens. Just a fool of thought. But from that point of view, I don't know what he's going to come up with, because I can't think of it myself. I think, like I say, he's damned if you do and damned if you don't. Okay, so that's why it's nerve-wracking. You stick to the 0.5%. I think you're going to get just to strengthen the dollar, but I think you're going to a immediate, massive fall down of the markets, especially the banking sector. I tell you right now, if I know he's going to come up with 0.5% tonight, I would strongly say get into your short positions on anything to do with shares or anything like that. I think it can come off big time, especially banking shares. You get my point. So there you are. Over to you guys. Can you help out Mr. Powell and myself? What are you going to do? If you don't, you're in trouble. If you do, you're in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Not actually, I'm laughing, but it's not. It's scary. You see the situation, guys. And that's why, we tend to blame our politicians. I don't like incompetent corruption. Nobody does. But sometimes I have to say, mitigation, they don't have a tough job. I think 25, I think it needs 50. I think it probably end up being 25. I don't think it's going to be 0. I think if it's going to be 0, then you see some massive movements. I think it probably will end up being 25, but even that. The problem with that funding, guys, and even if it's 25, which I tend to agree with you on, there's going to be a lot of emotional take. Does Mr. Goldman Sachs think that's not good enough? Big money is going to go one way. Does JP Morgan think it's pretty good? Big money, or go the other way. It depends on massive amounts of money, what they think and agree on, whether 25 is going to work for them. No, 25 is not going to cut it. No, that's no good. No one says, well, it's better than nothing. You get the idea. I think it's about as close to some sort of sit in the fence scenario as I can come up with 25. But I still think, 0 or 0.5% is too drastic for the market, but I think those two are probably the correct ones. You're either going to bring down inflation and a bank fallout, or sod inflation. You've got to protect the banks and the financial system, etc. So I think that's probably the best of both worlds, 25. I'm looking for 25. Yeah, I'm looking for 25. Yeah. Interesting question. See what Pietro said there. Would it not better for investors stay in their position to help the economy instead of panic? Every time you get some fall of the market, whole use out, rand cost averaging and pull back. Don't get a run, make it worse. Just as the moment, because that's trying to put it out. Don't do that. I'm sorry, Pietro, but you're an emotional person. You suddenly see it falling out of bed, your savings going down, etc. You're going to clamber on the bandwagon and withdraw it. Buy some Kruger Rands or put it under the mattress or something. That's great. But when it happens to you, and that's your savings going, your safety, emotional reaction, I promise you, I'm not saying you particularly with people, or certainly that will take control. That's why you get these runs, it's panic. Yeah, And if you do the right thing and hold on, well, you're going to call out the panic anyway. So that 10 Rand valued share, for argument's sake, will still go down to 4 Rand, and you held on, but now you're snooping. You get my point. So if you can't beat them, join them. Ah. Okay. Oh, that was all clear anyway. Fine. Don't ever forget, I go on about this emotional thing, even if you're an actuary, you buy your fragrance or aftershave or whatever emotionally. We're emotional creatures, and when fear comes in, I'm afraid sense often goes pretty quickly out the window. Panic sets in. And yeah, and that's why there's a lot of this fear factor involved. Okay, so gold, I think right now, if you can have a wide enough stop, I think it's good to be on board. If something brilliant happens to the market, you can get stopped out, but you've got to win. There's 900%, but the odds are where gold is where to be, to be honest. Okay. Right, GBPNZD. I've got on that. Seems to ring a bell. Maybe not. Sorry, it does ring a bell somewhere. Just looking back, GBPNZD. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, what have we got here to look at? Let's just crunch it a bit. Well, yeah, I'll say as we discussed the other day, didn't we? Yeah, and some guys said we're going to. Yes, I remember it well. Ah, here we go. Definitely must have put it down. Some guys liked it. Technically speaking, it's clear in the buy zone. It's back and above. Let's just make it a bit of a picture there. Right, technically into the buy zone. Okay, it's got a bit of resistance here, a little bit, not the world's strongest. So in theory, it should be upward. The pound's had a bit of high inflation, so we pressure on interest rate, give a bit more strength to it. I still think that the New Zealand dollar is a bit undervalued at the moment. I can't call it. I can actually, in my opinion, I think it's going to fall back. But is that a scientific reason? No, it ain't. My feeling ain't going to cut it. I'm backing up some sort of science, I suppose. I just think that pound's overcooked, and I think overvalued is probably a better terminology. And I think NZD is undervalued at the moment, and I think the price action will realise that at some stage, and it will correct accordingly. Now let's look today. It's 10 hours old. Look at that candle. Everyone look at that candle? Does that see as predominantly green or predominantly red, or neither? What do you see? Do you see green or wicks? Wicks to the upside, wicks to the downside, indecision everywhere. Okay. Just coming up to 10, pretty what it is at the moment. And so point Libya won't affect the world much, but it'll affect us. CPI slightly inflationary on month on month. Core CPI 0.8. It's not a year, it's a month on month. 0.6 expected, and the CPI including fuel and food, which is a CPI, of course, without the two I mentioned, is 0.7 and 0.6. So slightly inflation in South Africa. It might happen on the rand. We'll come back to UPNs of this. Quick check on the rand. Anything happening on that as a result? Not much. It's about a little bit around there. It's not much by the way. It's 18.5 something earlier on. Okay. Anyway, going back to GBPNZD, I personally see more indecision. So I think if you like this one, Morris wants to go long. Farley wants to go short. It's your chances. Okay. Oh yeah, well, absolutely. Inflation's high. As I say, we talk about first world economies. That's my child in South Africa, absolutely. Our debt ratios comes about 70% to 100% GDP. About 240 in Japan, 140 odd in America. Yeah. The major problem we have over here is, as I say, the lack of faith they have on basically the leaders. I have a lot of faith in most of them out there. But anyway, yeah. And remember, it's a smaller economy. It's can be played around a bit. But yeah, inflation definitely worse over there, no doubt about it. Sure. If you see a long, go for it. I'm going to stay on the sidelines for this one. Just give me a second, just unmuting. There we go. Go for it, Finally.
Thank you, Roger. Question, with the fact that their inflation is higher than ours, which in principle means that the investors will prefer investing in Britain rather than in South Africa.
Right.
Assumption correct?
Right. Yeah. I want to embroider on that. That is called the carry trade. That's called the carry trade, guys. I mentioned it before, but some of you guys might not know this. We had a while back where there's a lot of problems with South Africa, but around strength a bit. Why was that? It's called the carry trade. Because at that specific time before COVID, the interest rates were higher over here than they were in, let's say, Japan and Europe. So Mr. Farney, Bank Farney, he's got, let's say, a couple of $1 billion. He wants to get a higher return on it. So what he does, he borrows from Japan at 0% and he puts into South Africa at 5%. And he's making a freebie 5%. That's exactly it. They call that the carry trade. So they'll say, right, if it's exchange control, it's a different ballgame. I think it's our exchange control is P, it's about 2 million rand. Bung that into dollars, that's what, about 120,000 US dollars. So it's peanuts. You get the idea. We're not talking billions here. But the idea is in South Africa, you're going to, let's be honest, a more trusted nation in Europe, or whether it's rightly or wrong, that's perception, is UK than to here. And what a pleasure. I get a better interest rate there. So I'm going to go and borrow from South Africa and bung it over there. They call that the carry trade. Are we all clear on that? And that will then strengthen the pound from that basis as well. And that's another reason, which is a good point, Brian, not to expect interest rate increases, but again, attract carry. And that's billions run around the world through computer, virtual, etc. On that carry trade basis. Yes, you're quite right. There will be guys saying 10%, bloody hell, mate. I'm going to bang it on there. They don't use their own money, they borrow it. They borrow it for. So, you know, it's none of their own money's coming in. They're just borrowing it from you guys. If you've got your money saved there and bung it on to somewhere else and they take a nice profit. It's not quite an arbitrage, but similar sort of idea. Again, remember that, the carry trade. Very doing all the time, yeah. All clear?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Right, it's still in the NAS. Are you a long or short in the phone? Because you're short in the NAS, it's still in. You might do okay, Harry, actually. I think a lot of guys might have been stopped. I know it's 12.8, wasn't it? It should be stopped. No, it's 12.8. Yeah, 12.8 is stopped. Not doing pretty. I thought it might start coming off a bit. What do you think? 15 minutes. Coming off a little bit? Yes, coming off a bit, so you might come right. I'm assuming you're short. If you have, leave it at 12.8. It's 100 pips away, ride it a bit. You're in for it now anyway. And you got your stop. Even Powell comes in at 12.8. You've gone in so far, so might as well let the damn thing run. It's within your strategy. So I'd leave it at 12.8. That's where your stop is. The Dow hit the stop, yeah, I know that. Hit the stop, and we had to go a bit of a smack on that one. So if you're still in the NAS, leave it 12.8 this time being. I mean, in for a penny, in for a pound. If it goes, well, it's only 100 pips away. If it's 12.3 or something, no doubt about it, I'd move that stop immediately. But 100 pips, leave it that. If you get where I'm coming from. Oh, I don't know something, what you just said there, Vicky. I think there's something in the ether about radio waves in the mind. I can't believe you just played that. Just as you put that out, I was thinking, should I mention about the Dow, what I've done? Just it came to my brain. You printed that out. Wow, that's Michigan by a lottery ticket. That's incredible. Just at that moment, I was thinking just that. Right. Okay. I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. Now you brought it out and triggered that, and be honest, I've got on the short. I wasn't going to mention that to you guys because I'd just been stopped out and the risk of doubt, risk of power and rest of it on it. But I thought, sod it. I decided to go in. What did I go in? I went in at 32542 earlier on. I was debating whether to tell you that. I don't want to encourage you and then get smacked again. But I thought, it's my money, I'm going to bloody well do it. And then just after debating that in my head, Vicky, you came out with it. It's amazing. So take the decision from me. I'm going to answer you honestly. Yeah, I'm in, but I'm saying be very, very wary. Powell could stuff the system up. So if you do go in, I've got a little bit bigger, I'm on the normal one, but go in a micro, go a little bit smaller than you normally would. I'm prepared to say, I'm going to write off that couple of bucks or whatever you're putting the risk in at. And say, if it goes sour, I'm aware of it, one of those things. But yeah, yeah. Very difficult to say here because I don't want to get into trouble, but I think so, yeah. Please don't shoot me if I'm wrong, but yeah. I'm personally leaning on the downside, but don't scream, it shoots up to 13,000 on the Dow, on the NAS, and 33,000 on here. I can't control that, but yeah. And I'm being upfront with you. I'm still in the NAS. I've still got my 12-8 stop, and I got stopped out the Dow, but I've gone in again. Okay, but that's what I've done. I'm not suggesting you do it. I'm saying you analyze on that information and make your own decision accordingly. Okay, I'm seriously doing a strong disclaimer on that. Almost blew my micro account. Okay, must be my luck here. I like the sense of humor. Brilliant. I'm the downside till 8 o'clock. Absolutely. I think it might be fairly quiet actually leading up there, Mr. R. Ria, try and get this one. Ria Betsui. Is that right? Yeah, I'm leaning to probably a little bit some movement, a little bit downside. I don't know. Maybe some big boys will make a decision to go in big one way or the other. Might affect the price. I think the volume's not going to be that high. Yeah, thank you. Got it right. Okay. Down. Where are we? 32634. Where's that? Oh, someone's bloody learning. Where did you get that from? That's not bad. Another 15 minutes, sorry. 32634. Get right? Sorry, 32634. Yeah, it's about these guys. You get the hang of this, hey? A lot of guys still don't know how to put the stop loss out there, why we do it. You've been attending here for about 5 minutes and already getting the idea. Yeah, I like it. Absolutely, yes. That's not bad. I mean, if you've been doing it for 2 or 3 years, I'd expect that. That's not bad. Quite impressed. Yeah, go on. Hear you. Okay, yeah. You see, the beauty again with the micro is you can have also wider stop if you want, without making it a ridiculously high risk micro or whatever. My advice on this is anything can happen tonight, but I'm leaning towards the downside. That's not a piece of advice to jump in and sell it. That's your decision. My opinion is I'm leaning to the downside, but don't cry next day it shoots up 1,000 pips. Can't see it happening. There's too many problems out there, but can't see a lot of things happen, but they do. Strange things happen, but I'm leaning to the downside, yeah. Another reason it's gone up as well. All right, it's taken out this guy, but it's still in the neutral zone. But I'm just thinking the overall worldwide economy, the banks have really brought the limelight now. Issues we got. We've got to curb inflation, but if we put up interest rates, the banks suffer. You're caught between a rock and a hard place. And as a result of that, it's coming in. A lot of guys with equity, they can't sell it to high net worth because they're going to they start selling big time. They've got to find buyers, and that will create lower prices. They can't just get out. The position size is too big. A lot of them will be using options and futures and CFD derivatives to hedge their position by shorting by a margin, by using margin. Actually, just for a moment of that, do you all understand the purpose of the derivatives market? All due respect, not for you to make a quick buck. The fact is there that pension institutional hedging large portfolios of equities. Do we understand that, or do you want a quick explanation what the purpose is about? That's the purpose behind this, by the way. Are we all aware of it? Why? Interesting. If you don't know, you might find it interesting to find out why. Right. I'm going to pick on Mr. R now. Still, I've got the pronunciation out. It's a bit of a long one, so I'll call Mr. R. Mr. R, right. Mr. R is not an ordinary guy. He's a high net worth individual. And he's got, what should we pick on now? Apple, right? And he's got, let's say, 200, no, make it a large number. You've got 200,000 shares, make it $1 million. Let me do it big, yeah. Institutional have $1 million, quite a lot of them do. Right, he's a hedge fund guy, he's a wealthy guy, he's a wealthy fund, runs the billions, and he happens in the portfolio to have 1 million shares. Let's go to Apple, right? There's Apple here. You've got 1 million shares, okay? You have now in your go and spend it quickly before I take it away from you. Leave the trading room, go and spend it quickly. Right, anyway, the problem is he can't go and do anything about it because he's got 1 million shares. That means that's $159 million worth of shares, well, $160 million worth of shares. He sees a problem coming. He sees a downside of the market coming. So what's he want to do? He wants to sell $160 million worth of shares, or 1 million shares. The problem is there's not 1 million shares available at that price. Do you understand? They're just not there. A better way of explaining that, you go to your local little butcher. I looked after you a while. We have the Berliner here up in Paulshof. Great butcher, been there, well-known name, etc. And I go and get a couple of kgs of fillet steak. No problem, here you are, sir, thanks very much. Now, I'm a buyer for the Holiday Inn. I like to go out and say, I want a ton of fillet steak. He would like to fill that order with pleasure, but he can't because he hasn't got a ton of bloody fillet steak. He hasn't got it. The problem is there's not 1 million shares available at that price. So, but he wants to get out of the market. So he sells maybe 50,000 that price. What happens when you sell something? It brings it down. He sells another 100 at 155. He has 100 at 150. By the time he's got rid of those 1 million shares, he's pushed the price down to 140. Don't forget, as that price comes out, it's guys like you and me going to see the movement down. They're going to start selling short. So you're going to start compounding the problem by pushing the price down further. So by the time he's got out the market, he hasn't got 1 million at 160. He's got the whole of that. It might be down at 120. So instead of $160 million, he's now only worth maybe $100 million by the time he's got out. That's the one good thing about being a small guy. Very few good things about it. It's one of them. You can get out at the price anytime you like at the click of a button. They're too big to do it. So he's not, even then he can't guarantee it's going to come down. I can't guarantee it. Nobody can. So what does he do? The percentage likelihood is going to come down. He wants to do something about it. And remember, he's also got pension money in there. He's got to protect it, etc. So what does he do? He sells short Apple, but doesn't cost him $100 million, $60 million. He only puts a small, tiny percentage down. Now, he won't be working on the kind of leverage you work on because, well, they work for the institution. They accept any bloody leverage they like. They're not, to work within the constitution. So they might work on virtually very, very high leverage and virtually very small margin or deposit. So what he'll do, he will then sell short 1 million shares at that price. Got it? He sells that short on the derivatives market. And remember, the derivatives market is far bigger than the spot equity market. It's ginormous. So there's plenty of liquidity out there. So he'll sell short that. He might sell 1 million, he might sell maybe 3/4 million. Anyway, he'll sell short a large pot and it might only put down a tiny amount of that. If it, let's say, it's 100 to 1 of 160, that's only $1.6 million. He might have a 500 account, then it's only, 1.6 like that, $500,000. So he might lash out $500,000 deposit or margin to control $160 million worth of Apple shares. Are you with me so far? Right. Now, he is wrong. The share price goes up to 170. He loses on his short position, but he makes it back on his equity. So he's still breaking even. However, he's right, it comes down. Right, he's losing on his equity position, which now is only $130. But that $30 differential is made up by profit on his selling short, going the opposite direction by using hedging in the futures or derivatives market. That's the purpose behind it. So to make that work, you've got to have a counterparty. I can't sell to you, Anna Maria, unless you're a willing buyer, clearly. So you have to have a counterparty. So you get the speculator coming up. So the pension funds use this, not for speculation, allowed it against the law, but they use it for hedging purposes of the equity portfolio to protect. Now, the thing is, sometimes that's why you don't get like Sassel was about 10, 11 years ago, yeah, about 12 years ago, when it raised up something like 700. They didn't really make as much money as they should have done, because it was high at the time, about 450, 500 rand a share, and they hedged a large amount of it, and it did continue upwards. So what they made in the equity, they lost on that because they hedged it, which was the prudent thing to do to protect the institutions, the investment funds, the pension funds, and all that sort of thing. That's the purpose behind this. We fulfill the vital area of doing the counterparty. The speculator comes in for that reason. Does that make sense? And it originated, like a lot of things in America, over 150 years ago, maybe it was, in agricultural futures, they called it there, where, you know, a guy planted potatoes, only gets it 3 months' time, he gets the potatoes. He doesn't know what the price is going to be. A lot of things can happen in 3 months. So he sells forward at a specific price. It costs him 3 rand. You need to break even, he makes 5 rand. So he sells forward at 5 rand. The speculators pick up the difference. As it closes out that futures contract in 3 months' time, the price of potatoes is 7 rand. He doesn't care because he's only going to get 5 rand for it, but he's built in that profit to keep him going. The speculators won. However, the speculators were wrong. They had a lot of rain and they had suddenly a glut of potatoes, and in 3 months' time, it's only a rand. Right, he still gets his 3 rand or 5 rand or whatever he sold forward for. However, the speculator will lose out. So the speculator is there to prove the counterparty, and that's what hedging's for. Are we understand the financial purpose behind financial derivatives as well as agricultural derivatives? Okay, are you with me now? There's a proper purpose, not just somebody conjure money out of nothing by playing on some moving candle on the chart. Are you with it now? So we serve a vital part of the economy. Might not do it when you get stopped out, but you get my point. Are we all on the same page? You don't have to know that, but I think it's interesting to know why. Yeah? All good? Thank you. That gets me off talking about bloody shares should go up and down. I don't know. Good. I get the impression a lot of guys didn't actually realize that. So now you do know it is. So anyone says, you're not making anything, you're not manufacturing, you're just making money on moving there, so you're not contributing. Yes, you are. In fact, most of the financial market will not survive you. Your pension funds would be in serious problem without, not you particularly, but guys like us. Very, very, very valuable. Where it goes wrong is again corruption, where all these fancy derivatives, can't remember half of them, really, really fancy derivatives, drummed up by financial whiz kids over in the States to basically conjure stuff out of nothing and all that sort of thing, over-hedging here and the rest of it. That's pushing a little bit into a corrupting area. But on the basis of simple basis like we have, it is what it was designed for, if you like. Okay. But I say you can legislate to blue in the face, but you're always going to get corruption and someone going to take a gap. And that's what I think is happening. And before we get too accusatory of these people, we've got the opportunity to take a gap. How many can honestly say, no, we wouldn't? You know what I mean? I mean, I love animals. And I love the rhino. If somebody said, look, I'll give you $10 million to look the other way if I shoot that rhino, I'm going to be very sorely tempted to animals. I love you, but you gotta go. You know what I mean? Somebody's got to put themselves and be honest with themselves on that basis. Yeah. Good. So just to go back on again at the Brent, have you all modified your stop? I'm suggesting 73. You should still be in it. You shouldn't be out. Hold on to it. This is a winning trade. There's no reason why it should be out. And just took it because you got scared might go away with you. Don't do that. Rather modify your stop. And it started getting a bit of worry coming back. So we modified to protect, modify again, 73. Reasonable distance of $1.50 between your stop loss and your built-in, was it 70, 90, $2 a barrel, whatever size you got in profits. It should be good. As a matter of fact, is anybody in the down as a short to the NAS at the moment, or most people are stopped out holding on? It's hovering, see, very much trying to come down, but that I'll tell you right now, when it says overcooked that, all the problems, why is it thinner volumes are moving a little bit sideways? That's worry about a very difficult decision coming out tonight. But as Farney says, I think it was Mr. R said as well, I've certainly said, I think it's going to be sort of almost a hedge of both sides of the equation where it comes at 0.25. We'll see anyway. No, can't say I'm blaming it. Just take that, lick your wounds and be careful, don't get cute. Having said that, I must admit, I do see upside in gold. I don't know what you're doing down there. I do see upside in gold. I can't advise you go and buy it. We certainly trade out and buy on this one. And a bit of indecision there, but I reckon getting upside there. There's too many fear factor issues out there. I really think that's going to come up, but it is high risk at this stage for the fundamental reasons, and you're going to have a pretty wide stop. And it could go wrong, or it could stop you out and go screaming up. But if you can afford it and you want to take a punt, I would suggest you go for gold as a buy. I wouldn't try and get cute if you're counted small and you haven't got enough money to top it up. And you're not confidence a bit shattered over the last couple of weeks, which hasn't been some great good for any of us. But yeah, if you've got a couple of bucks and you want to take a punt and look at the gold, buy those. But make sure if you do that, make sure you stop it right, or if it is profitable before, protect yourself before 8 o'clock. But yeah. Okay, any questions, guys? Today, yeah, it's just yesterday because the holiday only the morning one, but it'll be normal today. Oh yes, reminds me about normal today, Thursday normal, Friday morning. Okay, just reminds me, yeah. Those who don't fully understand the difference between the micro account on the Dow and the normal, or the micro account on the NAS and the normal, can join me. I'm doing a quick 1 hour session to explain that difference at 1 o'clock. I'm just going to put this in my ID for you. Micro explanation session on NAS down 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Zoom ID. Actually, I can copy and paste probably into register as well. Where is it now? 8, I'll put it anyway. 828 9447 757. Thanks for reminding me on that. How do you get the signals? Explain that a minute. So I can copy and paste, it'd be a bit easier that way. Just get these things out of the way, they're all getting in the way on the screen here.
Mr. Rogers.
Just a second, just 2 seconds, I'll press the
Okay.
wrong button. Just going to press the wrong button. Get this back under control again. Right. Okay, yeah, go for it, sir. Go for it.
I just would like to know if the financial market the same around the world, or maybe in only in specific countries due to time zones.
What are you talking about? What time zones on what do you mean again? What do you mean by that?
Let's say maybe like you place a trade, and then when they go maybe against you, does it happen in this on the other country as well when someone plays the same trade?
Okay, how it works is this: Australia's different time to America, different time to Europe, etc. That's why it goes round the clock. Because as one goes to sleep, another country opens up. I mean, Australia is way ahead of us, and America is way behind us. So it opens up, so we say in Australia, then Japan, then it comes across to Europe opening up, and as we start to close, the Americans start opening up, and that's round the clock. The price action is the price action. There are different prices. I mean, you might be in a broken in Australia, broken in America, or broken Japan, and let's say gold got up there, for example, might have 1942. Another might in 1945. You go to investment.com and you might see a different price on there. That's a dealer desk and the market maker using a specific price, which they work on. It doesn't make any difference to you, because whether you got it at 1945 price, and it's 1943 here, and it goes up by $2, you'll get up to 1945 to get out at 1947 price-wise. So it doesn't make any difference. So if gold comes off or goes up, it'll still go up and come up wherever in the world you are. There might be slight differential prices, but it works out the same anyway. So if you buy it at 10 and I bought it at 9, my price goes up to 11, I make $2. It goes up from, in your case, go up from 10 to 12 and make $2, or vice versa.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Makes sense.
Thanks. And a normal trading, Roger. What's that supposed to mean, Henry? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Sorry, I'm not with you on that one. Oh yeah, normal trading this afternoon. Yeah, I'll do the 4 to 5:30 session tomorrow. Normal 9:30, 11, 4, 5:30. Friday 9:30, 11. Normal story. The only time we do an extra session will be first week of April. I think it's the 7th. Will be a Friday. I think it is. Will be the non-farm payrolls. You know, the strategy traders before. 14th, I think it is. That's a good point. Someone do me a favor. Hey, Farley, you're a good guy there. Do me a favor. When's the next CPI? I think it's about the 14th. In the US, obviously the US, just check it out for me and we'll do a session for that as well. There's no best session. Great one. You often get more action with the American markets, though, the sheer volumes. It's just the sheer volumes. They thought up most of this. They're most active in this. They lead it in most of this. So it just means that it's going to be better or worse. You just have a bit more action. We can trade it around the clock. Unless you're in US shares, it only opens up at 3, closes at 10, but all the rest are around the clock. And normally, say it opens up at 3, you might get quite a bit of action, then it starts slowing down because they're open at 8:30, whatever it is. and then probably about 10, 11, it's start. Most of the action comes on when the guys get to their desk and they open and close big positions, the market's open, then slow down to normal trading. So put it this way, always remember, Jabalani, everybody there, I'm talking about only about hedging, you've got to have a counterparty. You can't have a market without a buyer and a seller having opposite opinions. So if the best session was between 2 and 4, then nobody's going to do outside those hours. Because if I knew that, believe me, I'm no brilliant guy. If I know, everybody knows that. So who's going to trade at 3 or 1? Everything's between 2 and 4. So there's no such thing. Do you understand? You've got to have the volumes and the buyers and sellers liquidity. And once you take that out of the equation, you don't have a market. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. It's open because I think we're a couple of hours ahead of GMT. I think when does the UK go over puts the COPs focus summer? They're a bit later in New York. It's more into April. I can't remember actually. But at the moment, I still think they're on winter time. Where are we now? What the hell are we on now? Yeah, they're on winter time. Okay. So I think they're on GMT at the moment. So we're 2 hours difference. They should put it forward sometime, not later on this month, next month, whatever. Where it'll be GMT +1. Okay. That'll affect their opening as well. Okay, so just answer the question up there. How do you get signals? Right. If you've got 500 Rand or $50 or more in your account, you'll get the odd signal posted on the MT5 when they're deemed good enough. Okay, just 2 seconds, I'll put that up and have a look at it. Just finish this off. When they're deemed good enough. Okay. Now, because the small size of the account, you're not going to get that many because you don't have enough money to handle them. If you have 2.5 grand or $150 or more in your account, you can maintain that balance. You will get what's called a VIP upload, and then you'll just get more signals, and they're normally posted to your WhatsApp number. Okay, based on that. If you have a demo account or below 500, you won't get it because 400 Rand or 200 Rand, I'm going to go on this. It's not worth the company's time, or not worth anyone's time, because the sums of money are just too small to be effective. 12th of April is start. Okay, I'm trying to encourage people if they want to make money, do it properly. Just make sure it's the 7th. Yeah, and 7th is correct for the NFP. Okay, encourage people.
Sorry to differ, Roger. The NFP will be on the 14th, Good Friday, as per the calendar.
Not the 7th.
Not the 7th.
Why would they have an NFP on Good Friday? Don't ask. That's what it says.
Sorry, my apologies. It's Good Friday, the 7th, not the 14th. Yeah. No, you're right, on the 7th, but it's Good Friday.
No. Because I say, why would they adjust the non-farm payrolls to Good Friday? Then they move it away from Good Friday. Is it Good Friday the 7th? As close as that, is that right? The 14th. Oh, right. Whatever. But it's on the 7th, yeah. Is that true? Is that give me a second, guys. Just check my calendar here. You're right. 7th. Well, having NFP on the 7th. It's a bit strange, having on a Good Friday. Did it say the 7th there? Because I haven't checked. I thought they might actually shift.
True. The other countries have Good Friday holidays. It seems that the USA don't have a holiday on Good Friday.
Okay, good point there. Remember, there's a lot of countries that are not Christian, so that Good Friday doesn't mean anything to them. That might be one reason. And number 2, the Americans by law can only close the market for 3 days. And that's Good Friday, then they close to Saturday, Sunday, and then they've got Easter Monday. So they've got a problem. They're either going to be closed on Friday or closed on Monday. So that's why you have New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve often where they open. Not much happens, honestly. The guys have to be there. The markets are open. People still trade. It's a bit thin because they can't have them closed for 3 days. They're closed on Friday. The weekend makes it 4 on Easter Monday. So that's why they're open Friday. That's the answer. Got it now. Thanks. Good. So we're all good. So it's the 7th NFP and CPI is 12th. we'll do our normal extra session on that. Okay, good stuff. Thank you. Where are you? CHF. Okay, to answer you about the signals, Euro CHF, I was thinking of a sell the other day, and something I thought of a buy looks like it's pretty good. At the moment, it's to me, that's a buy, right? Absolutely, it's a buy. I just think the Swiss franc at the moment is a bit undervalued, so I think I'm a bit worried about it. There's no other reason. I'm not talking technically. I just think personally, my feeling is that CHF is a bit undervalued, and I think the risk in that Swiss, not risk of the bank itself, but risk of the situation. I'm not awful sure that it might start picking up a bit of strength. That's my worry, which means obviously you'll be shorting it. But technically speaking, that's a buy. So let's have a look at what we can do on this one. Maybe a tight stop for a punt. That's too tight. On the daily one, it's tight, isn't it? Maybe just down here. Yeah, maybe a tight stop is below the 50 and below the 200. It's in the buy area there. The 50 pip stop loss, and we can take about 80 pip. That's not going to work. Makes sense that. Yeah, maybe 80 pips and maybe 1.0018 or something like that. But technically speaking, that's a buy. I agree. Alfred, agree. John, let's look a bit indecision that daily candle. I'm putting up fact, I'm a bit nervous, so I'm not going to really push it too hard to go for it. But purely on a technical basis, you might get some upside here, but it's very much a punt. Oh, thank you, Anne Marie. I forgot about that. Then leave it alone. Thank you for a reminder. I need you guys. Thank you. There's your answer, Alfred. I like it technically, but I think Swiss at the moment is undervalued. And Lagarde, she's the she's the president of the European Central Bank, is speaking in a couple of minutes. And it's a bit indecision on that. It's only 10.5 hours old. I get that. It's a bit indecision on it. I think be prudent on the moment, Alfred, and correct. And I like your idea. Totally with you on that. I think let's be a bit prudent on it at the moment. Maybe just to stand aside and our times to be patient. Okay. Okay, now, I'm going to put the number down here. But don't phone me unless you're a gorgeous female that has a Porsche. Otherwise, I'm just not interested. There you are. So any of you guys, people out there, gorgeous females who like bald-headed, talkative old men and drive a nice Porsche, you can call me that number. Seriously speaking, only for those who've got 500 Rand or more on their account. And if you want, not a member and you want to be a VIP, let me know on that number by WhatsApp, and I'll upload you if you've got more than 150 or 2.5 grand. Plus, it's not just for that. You can, WhatsApp for trading advice or suggestion or assistance. And straight again, only for trading advice assistance. Not Stock Market College. I'm a separate company. You go to Stock Market College. Technical stuff, login, problems like that, you go to live chat. And anything to do with opening another account, or you want to open a 501, you've got 100, how do I go about it? You go to your account manager. And that's all done on the portal. So have your portal handy, the account manager's there. They'll help you with that. If it's trading matters, you come to me because you have to, because I'm licensed to do that. Not to sound better than they are, just I've got the driving license. They don't have it. Even they're brilliant drivers, just have a license not out on the road. Get the idea? So yeah, the trading management advice, and that's where you come to me. For opening accounts, any intermediary assistance, you can go to your account manager, and yeah, technicals, go to technical live chat. Stock Market College, you can obviously go to whoever deals with that. Okay. But yeah, so there you are. Whoever asked the question about signals, if you've got more than 500, 2.5, let me know. There's a WhatsApp number. If you've only got a few bucks in your account, please don't go big as 0.01 on gold or something. Don't start getting cute on highly leveraged like 0.02 on Forex, because you're very likely you might get margin called. You just don't have enough capital to keep the trade open. You must have free margin. Remember that, guys? You must have free margin or you'll get margin call. What does margin call mean? It means the market maker will close that specific trade. to release margin back to your account. So you've got to have free margin. And if you want the percentage level, it says in front of you, 80% is margin call level. So try and keep your free margin above 100%. And if it's 100% now and you go into another trade and it drops down, even the trades are good. Any slight movement, the ups and downs, it could even go from, you're going long, great idea. Before it gets up to 50, it could come down 5 or 6 pips. You've got so little margin, that 4 or 5 pips movement could just margin call you. So you get the idea. So just make sure you can't go into a lot of trades with small amounts because either the risk is too high, the exposure is too high, and you're risking margin call. Try not to go above 10% of your balance when you're going in. If you've got 100 grand, 2%, maybe 3 at 50, 10 maybe about 4, 5, 5,000, about 5%. But anything below about 2.5, maybe even 3, 2.5, 3, something like that, and do about between 5 and 10%. But no higher than 10, you're overexposed. Again, the problem comes in now. You've got 600 rand in your account, and you can only have, when you go to the position size calculator, you've got to look at the risk per micro. You know what I mean? If it says 60, that's 10%. But if it's 70% risk per micro, you're going to be overexposed. You can't take the trade. So even the odd trade you get is going to be too high. And when you do, you can only do one at a time. And don't think you want to change your leverage, because all you're asking is saying you'll be overexposed and the same problem will occur. Okay. Hope you all understand that. Very, very important. Okay, Coney, good stuff. Very tight volume, the Dow sideways movement. Really punting one is our goal there, but it's not happening much. So probably better just even leave that alone. Nothing much at the moment. Okay, that's why I discuss other areas. We can try and find some time, discuss other areas, trying to push a trade. And when I get nervous, when your technical back up a buy, like that extra trade idea coming in here, and I'm just nervous because the fundamentals could screw it up. We've had some problems with that in the past, as you know. Just something flash across the screen. I'm in your VIP group. I'm not getting sick, and you wonder why. Never mind was promising you get 5 signals a day, all sorts of stuff like that. Obviously, you're not going to get a signal if you don't see any good enough. If you want me to send out 5 signals to you right now, I'll do it with pleasure. Whether they be good or not, I don't know. Point is, we try and look for opportunities. The opportunities are not there, rather stay aside. And a lot of that time happens. And some of you get 8 or 9, you can't take them all. URAUD, where's my URAUD? Sorry about that. I'm going to reset this loft. So as they come up, I put them in. Suppose what's the time now, the guards talking just now, whatever time you're talking, just bear that in mind. So I'll copy and paste that for you guys. Just do that quickly. Just check that quickly. Lagarde. 10:45, yeah, hold on. Second, just copy and paste for you guys. I'm sure 1 or 2 guys don't have the atomic calendar. Well, you're going to have it now. Keep it, paste it, you know, normal story. Quickly do this, so it'll take 2 seconds. That's the DXY dollar index, where you want to pull it. There you are. EUR/AUD. Right. Without looking at it, I assume the euro will be stronger. I don't see why it shouldn't continue its strength. I think maybe should have maybe looked at a buy around these levels here. What's happening on the weekly? It's holding within that range. Get it? So it's near the top of the range without any sign of breaking through. Seem to be trying to move up now on the 4-hour, but how much buy? A few sellers coming in already. A few sellers came in the last 4 hours. Yeah. So go back to the daily. If you go in now, let's do the weekly, probably slightly better one. You're going to have to put a stop. That's not going to work. You're going to put a stop down here somewhere, 80 odd pips stop, and you're going to be aiming it here, 80 pips EP. If you want to take a 1-for-1, you can look at it. But I think it's, I know, in other words, get where I'm coming from. Anyone want to do anything on this? I've given my position on it. The massive against you. Can't get a decent risk reward. Even we talked about the 1-for-1 area. I just don't think the risk reward is worth even a 1-for-1. Never mind anything else. And let's look at the 1 hour. It's jumping up at the moment, but how long is that going to be sustained? Yeah, I think it's probably right. What you meant, Brent, just now. If anyone disagrees, we'll go back to it. Brent, just leave. You've got to stop at 73, modify, let it run. Don't jump in now, let it run. You're in profit. Thank you very much. Swiss franc, leave it alone. I think that, again, Powell will do something with the dollar. I do think the Swiss franc is undervalued, so it could be some downside. But is the market going to do that at the moment? Doubt it. Leave it alone. That's the name of the game at the moment. So it's going to Audible. Leave this alone and leave the Euro CHF alone, in my opinion. I don't see a trade on either at the moment. That's my opinion. Barney, I don't know, might think differently. Brian might, Alfred might, Etienne might disagree. They don't see.
Sorry, I'm hesitant on the dollar at this point in time. It can be either yay or nay. So I was thinking of GBP, JPY for a short.
Okay, I'm totally with you on that. I leave the dollar alone, quite right. EUR/AUD, I don't think it's worth it, like I mentioned, so leave it alone. Leave Euro/AUD alone. Brent, you should be in it. If you're not, leave it alone. Brent, you should be in from the signal, and it's doing pretty nicely. Modify your stop you're in. If you're not in, leave it alone. Okay. Do I expect down to upside anything like that? So just modify. Okay. Okay. GBP JPY had a bit of a jump on the pound. Where is it? Here we are. Let's get it a bit clearer on the screen here. Get a bit of noise around here. 60, 70 pip potential profit. Stop down there. Not going to work. Try the weekly. Right there. Not going to work. If you talk long, we'll come to short in a minute. Trying to ease up on the 4 hour. Sellers are coming in. So what do I think after that jump, the 15-minute, I'll show you what I mean. That was just purely carry trade, you quite rightly mentioned earlier on, and a bit of expectation strengthening. Is that going to be sustained? Why have they got 10%? Why have they got a problem out there? Well, is that not going to outweigh just about everything else? So personally speaking, I thought maybe for a short on this one. Stop up there. TP down there. We're going for a long or a short, but I think the possibility of a short on this one. It's holding there and look at the weekly. See what I mean? Don't forget and go wrong. Remember we talked, I just want to go back to the Dow, show I can go wrong, because we took a trade out on that one and on the daily. Look at that. I was convinced that that was going to hold. But look what happened. So just be aware. GBP, JPY. Make sure your position size is okay and understand that. But are you looking to a long or a short? I'm looking more for a short. What do you think, Efani? What do you think of that, Shazza? No, leave the euro dollar, euro AUD alone, and leave the Brent alone. And just modify as mentioned. Okay.
Roger, I was looking at a short for a stop loss of 163.35 and a take profit of 161.22. Yeah.
I'm happy to stop. There's a TP down there, but I prefer to stop above this guy here.
So you like a higher stop?
I'd like to stop above the 200, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I prefer. That's just my opinion. I'd rather stop up here. TP down here. We'll make it a round figure, 161. If it gets to 16105, it's probably like a bit of one, not like 100%, obviously like nothing but 100%, it's likely. See, risk reward's fine. If you want to put a slightly wider stop, you can do, but yeah, that's your gross, that's not bad. Let's look at the 1 hour, 15-minute. And just look at the weekly as well. The weekly gives me, look at that in the weekly. right on that area there. The short, I agree with you. I think there's an opportunity here, yeah. 110 bucks, so don't go in it unless you've got about 1,500 rand or more. Anything below that, you're going to be overexposed. So got 1,500 rand or more, you can take it, and just bear that in mind. If you've got 5 grand, you're a bit wary, but you like the look of it, you might want to risk 3 micros, maybe go for 2. You get the idea. It's very, very iffy at the moment. Maybe it's
Sorry,
lower.
Roger. Apologies. Please come again.
Go again about what?
On the signal, you were saying
Okay.
we should place it on micro.
If you like, it's not a micro, yeah, sorry, don't get confused of down on micro count normal, but a micro is actually 0.01. Okay, so per micro, per 0.01, at the moment it's about 110 rand per 0.01. So let's say you got 500 rand, that's 22% risk, too high. If you got 1,000 rand, that's 11% risk, too high. So I'm suggesting make it 125. If you've got more than 1,250 in your account, then you can go for 1 micro, okay, if you like to trade. If you've got 5 grand in your account, probably afford to go for 3 micros. I'm suggesting, because of these funny markets, I do like to trade, maybe a bit more circumspect and go for 2 micros. So in other words, whoever's out there, even if you can afford a 500 rand risk, maybe go for 300. If you want a 5,000 rand risk, maybe go for 2,000 or 300. I don't know, whatever. But the point is, yeah, it's just maybe taper down slightly. But I'm strongly suggesting if you've got 1250 or less, don't do it because you're going to be highly overexposed. I personally suggesting 10% is a line in the sand of balance, and that's only for tiny accounts. 5% at 3 grand, maybe 4 at 10 grand, maybe 3% at 25, and maybe 3% at 50. But once you start getting to 60, 70, 80, 100, probably better do 2%. Perhaps 2% is the international norm. Most traders out there are going to have $6,000 in their accounts or more. That's quite normal overseas. They work on a 2% basis. Do you understand? You have to go bigger because the account size is so small. Not just saying that. So you've got to, otherwise you'll never trade. If you look at 2% for a 5 rand account, you never ever get a trade. Okay, so anyone like this one? Hope you're all with me on that in Perman, guys. Got it, good stuff. So anyone want to go for it? You'd leave alone, Etienne. Okay, fine. I'm the Euro AOD. Okay. Finally, I'm with you on that one. Should we do it? You can support from me and Pietro. Should we do it? Are you happy? It's your idea. Okay, you take it. Right. I'm just writing this down. Give me a minute. I'm not saying it out, by the way, to anybody else in the trading. We're going to have to do that today because you understand the reasons why. Most guys don't. And they tend to go more parrot fashion and then get negative feedback. It didn't go right. Problem is they expect it to go right because they don't know that we're not gods of funding of the investment market. So we don't get much patch when it goes right. Hey, we don't get it when it goes wrong, eh? Like at work, eh? Goes wrong, you're in trouble. Goes right, no one's getting a pat on the back and feel you deserve. What's it now? It's 120. It's going up, so it's going the right way. I wrote down 65. It's already going the right way. We got it at 65. Finally, do you get it to 65? 162.65. Just give me on the sell, not on the buy, on the sell. You might do other stuff. Okay. All right, but I've got
Sorry,
it down.
Roger. No, I got in on 102.622.
162.622. Okay, so you got even a better price. I've got it down to 65. No, it's slightly less, but that's okay. So you got in on the sell there. The price there is about even, Stephen. It seems to be trying to move down. Do the 5 minute. There, we'll see. Okay, so I've got it written down. We can check that later. Well found 5. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So we expect to get it in actually. So that's fine. And remember, it's nothing to do with the US dollar. And pound has already come out with CPI anyway. So that's the reason why he looked at it. Okay, so it means he's learning. I'm not patting on the back, he's learning.
Learn from the best. Thanks, sir.
Yeah. Well, I'm learning for the best as well, you guys. Love that position size calculator. Yeah, you must have it. Jabulani, if you got it, great. If you don't have it, go to live chat and go to technical support. Remember, it's only on the laptop. It is not on the phone. So if you've only got a phone, suggest you get a laptop. If you can't, then you got to go to the App Store and find one. Don't ask me which one because I don't use them. I use the phones for portable, having a quick check. Okay. There you are. Good to have it. Tells you what your risk is. You're now at 125. Doesn't matter 500 what gearing you're on. Can you afford that? If you want to risk 360, you go for 3. You can work it out from there. Straightforward. All good. Okay, guys, don't like look at this dollar. It's something coming off the moment. That's interesting. Anyway, we'll see. Right. Okay, guys. Yeah, what else can I say? Catch you later. Fingers crossed. And we expect a little bit turbulent going up to Powell this afternoon session, but like finally came up with something now. We still might find something. Okay. So chat later. Cheers, guys. Thanks for your support.